So I discovered some Wi-Fi here that's consistent, I hope. And we can have our little stroll and chat here. There comes the sun. Have you ever noticed that people who are doing a lot of mischief don't like to have a good person around them? A person that's well behaved, that's following the right things, that doesn't want to be in collusion with bribery, let's say, going on, or lying, or a certain kind of humor. Let's say humor that's a little bit salty, hurting other people, improper, inappropriate, lacking respect. And there's some people who don't laugh. We're all very happy to be served by others. We're happy to receive good things, but when it comes to a behavior that's countering stuff that we're doing that's not the best, then it's a call to our conscience. And it wakes us up. And then it means we need to change. And sometimes we don't want to do that. But the presence of the other person is a big problem. In a certain sense, the presence of the other person is kind of a loudspeaker of my own conscience, and I'd prefer to quiet my conscience in order to be undisturbed in my laissez-faire path, in my indulgent path. Undisturbed in doing my own will. The Book of Wisdom today is a marvelous account of this. The Book of Wisdom, as we know, is very late literature in the Old Testament. The wicked said among themselves, thinking not aright, let us beset the just one, because he is obnoxious to us. He sets himself against our doings. He reproaches us for transgressions of the law. And that reproach might come just from plain, simple behaving otherwise. You know, that famous line of preach always, but use words if necessary. Because a lifestyle is a major word. Just like creation is a major word of God to us, what we do communicates what we think, what we are, what life is about. If our life is, what we think and what we do, is it just trivia, just self-gratification and entertainment, or is there Is there a dedication in our lives? Maybe first of all the question is, at what level are we living blessing? How much blessing is in our lives? Living with a deep interior sense of the presence of God, carrying us through every situation and giving us a plenitude that no material things can give us. Let us be set the just one because he is obnoxious to us. He sets himself against our doings. He reproaches us for transgressions of the law. He charges us with violations of our training. To us, he is a censure, the censure of our thoughts. The power of good example, you know. Words instruct and inform, but behavior is like a magnet, it draws. The role of people who are well known, just the way they live is a huge influence on society. The clothes they wear, especially issues of moral behavior, they impact what is acceptable in society. What people say, well, if they do it, I can do it. We have a very strong sense of social approval, affirmation. It means a lot to us. We let it mean a lot to us. Yesterday we had those words from Jesus twice: I do not accept human glory, human praise. When you have the real deal, you won't want to be indulging in not fake, but in shadows. Shadows aren't enough. You want the real deal. If the experience inside of us of the source of all creation, the source of all goodness, the source of all joy, then we won't cipher our whole. We won't concentrate our expectation of fulfillment from just externals. It's nice when they go our way. Today we have this beautiful view. It's nice, it's pleasant. But our happiness is the source of our happiness is much deeper. To participate in that level gives us another depth, and this helps society a lot because we become like an anchor in the family, at work. It's very interesting. I was always amazed at how certain kids, even let's say high school kids, that were deeply personally religious, even though they were never vocal about it. I noticed this a lot, especially during ministry and youth ministry, that other kids came to them, and even adults, and asked them for a prayer if there was a tragedy in the family, if there was an illness. And that kind of just goes to show how people pick up where people are at. Even without announcing it. It comes across in behavior, and it comes across in conversation. It comes across in what we expect and hope. We really can't hide our being. Our being is public. We are social beings, and we are deeply bonded and connected with others. And that's marvelous. and it's also a great responsibility. You are the salt of the earth and the light of the world. So this good person is essential for our thoughts, merely to see him as a hardship for us, because he's living a lifestyle, or she is living a lifestyle that is very counter to a selfish lifestyle. Because his life is not like that of others, and different are his ways. He judges us debased, he holds us aloof from our paths as from things impure. And that's obviously a behavior that we wouldn't want to see in a good disciple of Jesus. We shouldn't hold other people debased. We shouldn't treat them as people who are impure. There's a whole new chapter with Jesus, because this thinking is from before Jesus. It's about religious behavior, religious goodness. It has all these aspects of truth, but once we have the good shepherd looking for the lost sheep, once we have the prodigal son being embraced by his good father, then we have a very redeemed attitude towards the sinner. We're not here to condemn and to punish and to exclude. We are here to show an open door, a pathway to recovery, a readiness to welcome, a joy. He calls blessed the destiny of the just and boasts that God is his Father. That line is so intriguing, isn't it? He boasts that God is his Father. And then you see just a few decades later, a century later, Jesus' life and his words, his explanation, especially in the gospel, these last couple of days, when Jesus talks about his Father and his union with the Father. And in the Book of Wisdom we have this line, and he boasts that God is his Father. You see, this whole reading from the Book of Wisdom is a very, very an awesome sketch of Jesus. And let us see whether his words be true. Let us find out what will happen to him. For if the just one be the Son of God, imagine that language, he will defend him and deliver him from the hand of his foes. With revilement and torture, let us put him to the test. That is crazy. With revilement and torture, let us put him to the test, that we may have proof of his gentleness and try his patience. Like, we're already entering into a type of X-ray, not just a photograph of the outside, but an X-ray of the heart and mind of Jesus in his sufferings. And it's very few people whose suffering has been so intense, so planned, so programmed, so brutal, so documented, and not just the externals, but the internal responses and attitudes of Jesus. Normally, when we see injustice, even all of us who pray a little bit and who give our lives for others, an anger rouses up inside, and you want to, you have to control yourself. And some other people expect you to be angry with those who are unjust, and they expect you to condemn and to judge and to hurt and to stop, to create a whole situation. And that's not our style as followers of Jesus. The text continues, listen to this, let us condemn him to a shameful death. And crucifixion fits the bill there perfectly. That was part of the purpose of crucifixion, was not just the pain, but also the shame. hanging on a cross, sometimes for days. For according to his own words, God will take care of him. It's amazing, the author of the Book of Wisdom, how inspired. These were their thoughts, but they erred, for their wickedness blinded them, and they knew not the hidden counsels of God. And there now we're penetrating not just into the prayer life of this just person who's been persecuted, we're entering into this as part of God's plan. They knew not the hidden counsels of God, nor did they count a recompense of holiness, nor discern the innocent soul's reward. Isn't it great to raise children with this understanding? Because parents are entrusted with future saints, and grandparents are entrusted with future saints and their grandchildren. Of course, the grandparents need to be very respectful of the direct role of the parents, the primary role of the parents. But when grandparents are with their grandchildren, they're looking into the eyes of future saints. That's what God wants. And these children are so innocent, so beginning life. And what grandparents can communicate to them, the way they carry their sufferings, also the way they carry their approaching departure from this world. I remember my mom, God rest her soul, when the cousins were coming as her cancer was taking its toll, and the impact she had on people just by the very fact of the attitude she had towards her approaching demise. And then another relative passed away relatively shortly after that, a year or so, and one uncle said to me, "Your mom taught us how to say goodbye, how to leave this world." One of her brothers. So this is very interesting, to be able to teach children about the innocent soul's reward, because this world often rewards evil doing and cheating and crushing others and insulting and driving through others and societies and communities like a bulldozer. And the innocent soul's reward, the one who doesn't indulge in the world's selfishness and sinfulness and evil ways and evil thinking and racism and abusing or availing of the fruits of the crushing of others. I think our time is gone already, but I just love this reading. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. There we have this Psalm 34. And the just cry out, the Lord hears them. But that hearing also can be delivered in a later moment, because there can be a path of suffering between the cry of the just and the oppressed and the final deliverance. Those who are crushed in spirit, he saves. And then we have the gospel in John chapter 7. Jesus back in Galilee. There's intent to kill him. And there's a very wonderful line. We'll finish with that now just because of time. They tried to arrest him, but no one laid a hand upon him, because his hour had not yet come. We're in the plan of God. There's a plan of God in our lives. And there are times when wrong will be set right. And there are times for the martyr to be the martyr, and there are other times that that's not the case. There's a discernment of what God's call is today in my life. What's the call of charity today? What's the call of patience? What's the call of service? What's the right word I need to say to the people now to lift spirits, to encourage? So I think we leave it like that today, guys. God bless you. See you later, alligators. Here we are at just outside Duquesne-Altum. Let us continue preparing for Holy Week, which is coming very quickly. These can be very fruitful weeks. Also, maybe today is a good day to join Kathleen and the Via Dolorosa with some of the Stations of the Cross, entering into that mystery of suffering that Jesus bears. God bless you.